Hello and welcome back to What Plays Our Lone Wolf Wednesday series. We're up to book 9. The Cauldron of Fear. The story so far. Many centuries have passed since Sun Eagle, first of your kind, established the Order of the Kai. Aided by the magicians of Desi, he completed a perilous quest to find 7 crystals of power, known as the Law Stones of Nixator. Upon their discovery, he unlocked the wisdom and strength that lay within the Law Stones and himself. He recorded the nature of his discoveries and his experiences in a great tome entitled The Book of the Magna Kai. You discovered this lost Kai treasure and have given a solemn pledge to restore the Kai to their former glory, thereby ensuring the security of your land in the years to come. Yeah. However, your diligent study of this ancient book has enabled you to master only 3 of the 10 disciplines. To fulfill your pledge, you must complete this quest that was first undertaken by Sun Eagle over 1,000 years ago. By doing so successfully, you too will acquire the power and wisdom of the Magna Kai, which is held within the Lawstone's crystal form. Although your quest has taken you far from your northern homeland, following in the footsteps of the first Grand Kai Master, you journeyed to Desi and sought the help of the Elder Magi, the magicians that aided Sun Eagle on his quest so long ago. You learned that one of the 7 Lawstones was still present in their land, hidden deep inside an island stronghold known as Kazan Ode, or the Castle of Death. You survived the perilous Castle of Death and emerged triumphant, having achieved what the Elder Mages had believed to be impossible. During the victory celebrations held in your honor, you learned that for centuries they had been expecting your coming. An ancient Desi legend tells of the birth and rise to greatness of 2 Kura Taskai, sons of the sun. One named Ikar, no T, which means eagle, and the other named Skan, which means wolf. We have Decoy. The last book murdered us a lot. A prophecy foretold that the Kura Taskai would come from the north to seek the counsel of the Elder Mages in order that they might fulfill a great quest. Although separated by several centuries, they would share one spirit, purpose, and destiny, to triumph over the champions of darkness in an age of great peril. No, it wasn't Castle Death, it was the jungle that slew us a lot. And the road to the jungle and the road to that first one, Veretta, killed us a couple of times. Once that was purely my fault. Your victory at Kazan Ode proved that you were Skan, the wolf of Desi legend. And in keeping with their ancient vows, they promised to help you complete your Magna Kai quest. In Elzian, the capital, you were tutored in the histories of Magnamund and received lessons in law that you would have learned from Kai Masters if they, like you, had survived the murderous Dark Lord attack on the Kai Monastery 11 years ago. You were eager to learn that all that your tutor, Lord Ramoa, could teach you in preparation for the next stage of your quest. But grim news from the Darklands cut short your tuition. In the Dark Lord city of Helgadad, a civil war had erupted following your defeat of Hakon, Arch-Lord of the Black City. After 5 years, the battle for the throne of Helgadad had finally been won by a Dark Lord called Gnag. The other Dark Lords, united behind this new leader, were ordered to amass huge armies in preparation for the conquest of Magnamund. So swiftly did their legions grow in numbers that the Elder Mages ceased their counseling and arranged for you to begin at once the search for the 3rd Lawstone. Guided by Lord Pado, a warrior magician of Desi, you set off on a perilous journey across the free lands of Telestria. On your way to the jungle swamps of the Danarg, there in an ancient temple that was once the Elder Mage's most sacred place of worship, You succeeded in discovering the object of your quest. However, during your escape from the Denarg, your guide, Lord Pado, was captured by Dark Lord agents, and upon your return to Elzian, you learned the fearful news the Dark Lords were now waging open war throughout Magnamund. Several lands, after brief but futile resistance, have been overrun completely by the Dark Lord's armies. Others surrendered without fighting in the face of their determined might, and there were others who choose to betray former allies by joining the Dark Lord's cause, in the misguided hope that they would share in the spoils of victory, following the triumph of Dark Lord Gnarg. One such land was Agonia, the desert realm to the north of the Desi. Already her armies had invaded the neighboring territories of Cassiorn and Cloasia, and are preparing to march through the Republic of Anari to join Gnag's horde, advancing across the plains of Slovia. The thought of such an eventuality filled the elder mages with dread, for the lore stone you must find next lies deep below the streets of Tahau, the capital of Anari, an ancient city built during the dawn of Magnamund. If Tahau were to fall before your arrival, your chances of completing your quest would be slim indeed, even for a warrior of your renowned skill and daring. Whilst preparations were being made for your journey, you learned that the Dark Lords had attacked and captured Ruanan, the southernmost province of your homeland of Summerland. The news of this calamity shook your resolve and filled you with a desire to forego your journey to Taiho and return home without delay. The elder mages implored you not to abandon your quest, and you faced a difficult and crucial decision. Which would you honor, your vow to complete the Magna Kai quest, or your oath of loyalty to your king? An oath which pledged your service in the defense of the Sun Realm. Fortunately, the surprise arrival of an old friend was to decide matters for you. Mage Master Bane, envoy of the Brotherhood of the Crystal Star, the Magician's Guild of Summerland, landed unexpectedly at Elzian aboard his flying ship, the Skyrider. He and his dwarven crew were warmly greeted. For Bane, a frequent and favored visitor to the Desi, was respected by the Elder Mages for his mastery of new magics. 6 years had passed since you met, and there was much you wished to discuss and reminisce about. However, there was an urgent matter of duty to perform first. Bane had been sent by King Ulnar to deliver into your hands a royal missive concerning your quest. The scroll, written and sealed by the king himself, ordered you to pursue your quest above all other duties. It ended with the words, "Summerland has suffered a grievous defeat at Ruanan, but the will of the people is undaunted and the strength of our armies undiminished. Boldly we will resist our enemy as long as there is hope for the rebirth of the Kai." Bane informed you that the king had ordered that he and his skyship be placed under your command. He delivered the news that the king had bestowed upon you the rank of a war marshal of the royal estates. Proudly you accept from Banedom 2 platinum badges, crafted in the shape of a blazing sun, and affixed them to the collar of your tunic. They signified you are now a general of the Summerlending army, the youngest that there had ever been. The honor bestowed upon you lifted your spirits, and the news that Bane would be joining your quest helped greatly to allay your fears of the dangers that lay ahead. For 2 years, Bane had lived in Taiho as journey master to his guild. His knowledge of the city and of the Tahau Cauldron, the entrance to the ancient metropolis, which lies buried deep beneath the city streets, would be especially useful. On the eve of your journey to Taiho, the elder mages convened a meeting of the High Council. A golden torch was lit and placed in the center of their great cylindrical council chamber, as a symbol of their hopes and prayers for your success. "This torch shall burn so long as you pursue your destiny along the path of the Magna Kai," said Lord Ramoa, Speaker for the High Council. For the gathering of elders, you reaffirmed your vow to restore the Kai, and, as if kindled by a sudden gust of wind, the torch flared brightly, bathing the chamber in its vivid golden glow. As one, the elders rose from their seats and intoned their blessing. "May the gods, Ishia and Kai, protect you on your journey into darkness." for Skarn. Okay. We get one new skill. What new skill do we want? Animal control was potentially quite useful and we didn't have it last book. So let's engage in some investing in things after the fact. We get another weapon mastery. I'll go with Spear. I don't need all this silver. Healing potion, healing potion, healing potion. Yeah, we'll keep those. Sword, bow, dagger. We need to get rid of some of these, though. I don't need the pass. I can't imagine needing the lodestone. We will deposit the quiver and assume that we get given a new one. Oh, and what about money? Where's the deposit money thing? Ooh, it now has a separate tab. Ah, and it has different currencies. I'll keep 30 gold on me. Blah, 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 blah. They give you a map, they give you 10 gold, plus a number you roll from the random number table. If you have completed other books, you may carry over money, but you may only have 50. The rest you leave in the monastery. You may have any of these items, but remember you can only carry 2 weapons and 8 in your backpack. So let's take some more grenades. A quiver. A full quiver. Lantern. We don't actually have a rope. And as much as I want the potion, having at least one meal seems sensible. And then the usual spiel about no matter how poorly you've rolled on the endurance or attack skill numbers, if you are wise and skillful, you should be able to complete the adventure. Give me a sec. A full moon lights the sky above Elzian. On the evening, you begin your journey to Taiho. Its ashen rays glimmer along the polished wooden outriggers that run the length of the hull of the Skyrider, and illuminate the crystal star ensign and the Summerlanding flag as it flutters proudly from the mizzenmast. The elders of the High Council have gathered on the roof of their council chambers, and, as you and Bane climb the boarding ladder to the ship, you pause to return their farewell salute. Bosun Nolram, senior member of Bane's crew of dwarves, welcomes you and his captain aboard. Surveying the craft, you notice that it has changed little since you were last aboard, when you sailed the desert skies of Vasagonia in search of the Book of the Magnachi. The crew remember that voyage fondly and are justly proud of the part they played in the success of that perilous mission. Take the helm, Bosun, and set course for Navasari, commands Baindom, as he leads you across the busy deck to his cabin at the prow. Swiftly, the lights of Elzian vanish as the Skyrider speeds into the night. A mile below, the jungle of Desi and the barren peaks of the Zalun Mountains race past beneath the keel. But in the comforting warmth of Baindom's cabin, you feel no sensation of movement. Only the hum of the powerful engines indicates how rapidly you are traveling. Over a delicious meal of salted beef and spiced fruit, Bane explains the purpose of your journey to Navasari, a city that lies 100 miles south of Taiho. Our enemies are advancing across Magnamund like a tidal wave, destroying or carrying with them all in their path, says the magician, pointing to a map of the continent that adorns the cabin wall. Every day a new battle is being fought, and every day another town or village is lost to the Dark Lords. Before we venture to Tehu, we must ensure that the city has not already fallen to Dark Lord Gnag, lest we fly straight into a trap. I have many friends in Navasari, reliable friends, friends highly placed in the Senate. From them, we will learn if the city still stands, and if it does, how long we can expect it to resist a Dark Lord assault. Mid-morning of the following, day. Come on, one more. Up. Okay, I'll do it the other way. Rather than scroll wheel, I will manually drag. Mid-morning of the following day, the Outlook catches a glimpse of Navasari as the Skyrider emerges from the Yanzhou Pass. Bane takes control of the helm and steers, steering towards the east quarter of the city and landing on a spacious roof of a magnificent star-shaped building that overlooks the river Char. A group of dignitaries, resplendent in high-necked robes of green and yellow silk, greet your arrival. These are some of the friends of whom Bane spoke. Sadly, they recount the grim course of events that have recently befallen their country. In the far north, the town of Risa was destroyed and its people massacred by an army of Gieks. 2 days later, a similar attack was launched by a Vassagonian army against the town of Zila. They swept along the Inari Pass, burning and looting villages through which they rode, giving no quarter to those who dared resist. 3 days ago, on the western border, a fierce battle was fought at the Slovian town of Lovka, for control of the bridge across the river Cherdus. Shortly before midnight, the might of Dark Lord Gnag's horde fell upon a beleaguered garrison. They fought bravely, but by dawn the following day, all that remained of the town and its defenders was an acre of scorched earth and a cart of charred bones. You've had D&D campaigns with less lore than this? The 3 enemy armies are now advancing towards Teho. President Tuda, the head of state, has ordered the evacuation of women and children from the capital and has begun strengthening the city's defenses to increase its chances of withstanding an impending siege. When Bane tells them of your intention to go to Teho, one of his friends offers a word of caution. It would be unwise to attempt a landing at the capital. Heavy bolt throwers have been positioned on every rooftop and tower in case the enemy attacks from the air. The Dark Lords captured Suentia in such a fashion, and the Tahoese have learnt from their neighbours' misfortune. Skyships rarely visit the place, which makes it all the more likely your craft would be mistaken for a hostile attacker. After much deliberation, you and Bane decide to leave the Skyrider in Navasari and journey to Teho by horse. Nolrim is left in charge of the craft and crew with instructions to wait your return. If Teho is besieged and he has not received word from you, after 2 weeks he has returned to Desi and report that you have failed. Early next morning, you and Bane climb into the saddles of 2 white Anarian steeds provided by his friends and set off on your 2-day ride to Teho. Less than an hour after leaving Navasari, you see a long line of wagons approaching. They are escorted by a troop of cavalry, and each one is crowded with women and children. Do you stop to talk to the women and children, or do you ignore them and press on with our journey? I'm going to press on with our journey. For 3 hours you ride without pause or rest along the Teho Highway. On either side, the whispering grasses of the Inari Plain stir lazily in the thin breeze of morning. Villages are few, but wherever there are trees, you are sure to find a group of huts nearby. The highway descends along a ridge towards a copse of stunted trees, where a circle of simple dwellings has been built around a well. At your approach, a bell is sounded, and several peasants appear holding a basket of assorted wares, which they each urge you to buy. Sure, we'll examine the wares. We got money. The villagers... Hey, Elvama. More wolf? Awoo! The villagers swarm... I don't know if you could hear Doggo then, he just started barking. Around you, like hungry locusts, pleading with you to buy their humble goods. Most of the baskets contain food, with a greasy, off-putting smell. The small earthenware flasks full of boza, a pale yellow wine with a bouquet like sour milk. Who would want something that smells like sour milk? The villagers are too poor to offer any goods at all, and they simply cup their hands and beg for money. For every 1 gold crown here, you may purchase a meal. Oh, yes. Yep, we'll have some of this stuff. This is cheap. Sure, and I'll also be... meal. Flask. And I'll buy 1 more flask. And I've given them enough money. The wretched beggars are overjoyed at your extreme generosity, and their grimy faces beam with delight. As quickly they share out your coins. An old crone tugs at your sleeve and points with a crooked finger towards a small hut set apart from the rest. She says it is the home of their shaman, the village holy man. She offers to take you to him and receive his blessing. Sure. With a bony fist, she raps loudly on the door of the hut. Inside, a croaky voice bids you enter, and she tugs at your sleeve impatiently, urging you into the foul-smelling hovel. Seated on a threadbare carpet and surrounded by what appears to be heaps of chicken bones, is a scrawny old man dressed completely in feathers. He has a long, pointed nose, stubby grey beard, which grows to just below his beady, bloodshot eyes. The crone kneels and whispers in his ears before bowing and then leaving the hut. As the door swings shut, the shaman scoops up a handful of bones, closing his eyes, and with a sound like a flock of startled seagulls, casts them in the air. After a full minute of chanting and waving his hands, he opens his eyes and looks down on the bones, scattered on the earthen floor beneath. You have many enemies, Northerner, he says, his hook-like fingers tracing patterns around the bones. Powerful enemies. They plot to prevent you from walking your chosen path, for it will lead to their destruction. There is one who will tell you that he is friend. Do not trust this one, for there is treachery deep in his heart. We have the rest of the picture of the shaman birdman. The old man closes his eyes and lowers his head, as if he has fallen suddenly into a deep trance. You try to awake him, but he does not respond, and eventually you decide to take your leave. You feel unsettled by the encounter. You feel unsettled by the encounter, but when you return to Bane, you make light of the incident and suggest you continue without further delay. As the hour of noon approaches, the rutted highway of khaki-colored earth rises gently towards a flat-topped house near the horizon. Outside at the entrance is a 3-legged stand erected over a fire made of gorka dung. A battered tin pot full of soup hangs from the crotch of the stand, and a group of farmhands stand in line waiting for their muddy liquid to boil. The smell of the fire is awful and has to be blown on ceaselessly to prevent it from going out. Close to the house is a dirt track branching off the main highway and disappearing to the west. A signpost, its wood cracked and twisted, points along the track. If you have pathmanship, turn here. Follow the track. Turn here. Ask the farmhands, turn here. Continue along the existing direction of the highway. We will use our pathmanship. You sense that the signpost has been turned and is pointing the wrong direction. Teho lies to the north, yet this signpost is pointing towards the river Churdus. Ask the farmhands. Like most southern Iranian peasants, these farmhands are the simple folk. They've heard nothing of the war in the north and know nothing about the Dark Lord armies poised to assault the capital. They can tell you that there is a great many wagons carrying Tarkas, or rich city folk, that have travelled the road to Navasari in the last 10 days. They would be happy to share their humble meal of corn soup, but the smell of the dung fire has destroyed your appetite, and you refuse their offer politely. Bane, who has been talking with the owner of the house, returns to his horse and nods at the signpost, pointing the wrong way. A few days ago, one of the wagons ran into it, and no one's fixed it yet. With a wave of your hand, you bid the farmhands farewell and urge your horses back to the highway. You are hungry and must eat a meal. Hunting. 5 miles along the highway, you reach another junction, where a cart track bears off to the west. A whitewashed stone marker at the side of the road says, Sidara, 5 miles. Let's go have a look at the map. How does it know that we've extended from off-map over here? Whatever. Maybe there's a global map that had part of this on it that I'm not aware of, and it's like traced that line. So we're almost most of the way to Tejo, supposedly. That's worrying news for the length of this adventure. But also, the stuff is supposedly underneath the city as well. So maybe it's not so bad and the dungeon underneath the city will take a while. No, continue on our way to our quest location. The afternoon passes swiftly as you ride across endless miles of treeless grass. You stumble upon no village or hamlet and spend the hours listening to Bane's account of recent events in Summerland and the Lastlands. 3 years pass since you were last in the land of your birth, and you are hungry to hear all that has transpired since that day. It is an hour past sunset, and night is drawing its black cloak around you, when you see a flickering red light on the road ahead. The village of Chadi. A great fire roars in the hearth of Gyuk's tavern in Chadi, inviting the travel saw to stop and warm their weary bones. Is this where Bane punches Batman? There is no Batman. The tap room is surprisingly quiet, full of villagers and farmers, but they are a sullen crowd, content to sit in silence and brew over their glasses of Ovka. Totally not vodka, Yelovka. A strong Slovian rye spirit named after the town where it was first distilled. The Slovian drink, Ovka. Gyuk, the tavern owner, greets you with a nervous nod of his shiny, bald head and shows you to a table. There are no bars or counters in Anarian taverns. Customers sit at long banqueting tables and wait for the owner and his staff to serve them. He smiles uneasily as he answers your inquiry about a room. A single room with a bed would be 12 loon. Sure. Why not? Gyuk gives you vodkant, not vodka. Gyuk gives you a key to your room and offers you a glass of Lovka on the house. You accept and down the liquor in one gulp. At the far end of the table, a man sits with 2 young sons, gambling with a group of plains farmers seated opposite, though you see no money changing hands. Let's ask the tavern owner some stuff. The owner is a nervous and jittery man, afflicted with all manner of tics and twitches, given to worrying about anything and anything. Recently his condition has worsened in light of the events in the north. It is not difficult to understand why. Oh, what is to become of us? Where will it all end? He mutters, wringing his pudgy hands and casting his eyes to the rafters. Every day for the last 2 weeks, wagons filled with women and children have been leaving Tejo for the south. Yet the Senate tells us nothing is wrong, that we should go about our business and not concern ourselves with the city's affairs. I, for one, am not fooled. I tell you, they're keeping us in the dark about what's happening, and I'm not going to wait around and suffer the consequences. I'm closing up and moving out at the end of the week. And if you 2 gentlemen would take some friendly advice, you would be wise to do the same. Someone in the tavern is calling for more Lovka. Before you can question the owner further, he snatches a bottle and scurries away to serve his thirsty customers. You will go to sleep. The room, which overlooks the courtyard and stables, is small yet surprisingly clean and comfortable. You sleep well, but you are rudely awoken at dawn by the clang of a brass handbell. Fuch's wife is walking around the courtyard, ringing it for all she's worth. "Daybreak, daybreak, all awake," she cries, her voice only slightly less piercing than the bell. You wash and dress before gathering together your equipment and heading for the stables. Bane is already there, having risen before dawn to prepare the horses. Bork, 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 says Bane. The sky is cloudless, and the air is warm and still as you ride out of Chaddy. Open grasslands stretch before you, broken by the occasional low, whitewashed farm building and peasant house. It is noon when you arrive at a mass of standing stones that line the highway approaches to the village of Faya. Bane recalls a local legend that the Black Zakan of Vasagonia once came to wage war on the defenseless inhabitants of Fia who had no army. The besieged people offered up prayers to the goddess Ishia, who was moved by their plight and caused the wicked Vasagonians to become petrified where they stood, clad in full armor and clasping their weapons. It strikes you that the Fians may soon have cause to pray for Ishia's hope once more. A mile beyond the village, you see a cloud of dust on the highway. If you have hunt mastery and have bought enough previous books, you may turn to page 59. If you don't, or didn't buy enough books, turn to page here. Well, we both have the skill, and we've bought all of the books, in air quotes. Using your improved Kai mastery, you focus on the distant dust cloud. It grows larger and sharper as your telescopic vision magnifies the image. Enhance! You see a patrol of Anarian cavalry riding towards you, led by one who wears a crimson cloak. You count 20 lancers, each of them bearing a small flag embroidered with the arms of Teho. Ride forwards to meet the soldiers. Slowly, the cavalry draws nearer, the faces of the soldiers stern and unsmiling beneath the peaks of their winged helmets. Their leader, a sergeant, makes a signal, and the horsemen change formation, drawing into a circle that closes around you. "State your business here! Why do you ride for Teho?" At first, you are suspicious of their identity, but your sixth sense tells you that they are genuine Anarian rangers. I'll tell them of our quest. "Seems we have a pair of travelling clowns come to entertain us with fairy stories," sneers the sergeant, as his men laugh disdainfully. He draws his curved cavalry sword and points the blade menacingly. "You're both under arrest of suspicion at spying." Okay, I will not make a fuss. You are unsheathing your weapon where you hear Bane whisper, "Follow me." The rangers hear nothing, and as you drop the weapon, their eyes follow it to the ground. In an instant, Bane recites the runes of a Brotherhood spell, and a flood of sticky fibers gush from his outstretched hands. Bane has cast web. The sergeant and his dozens of men are caught in a net of gooey strands that hold them and their horses rooted firmly to the ground. They have failed their saving throw and are restrained. Bane spurs his horse into startled few that have escaped the spell, and you follow closely on his heels. A handful of rangers pursue you along the highway, but your mounts are faster than theirs, and they soon give up the chase and return to their helpless comrades. Only when the rangers and standing stones disappear from sight do you rein in your horses and slacken your pace. Remember to erase one weapon from your action chart. Oh, I thought it should bring up my inventory. It is late afternoon when you see the Teho Hills. They appear like a mirage on the horizon. Did it just steal my first weapon? Okay, it just stole my first weapon without asking me which one. Whereas if I was given the chance, I probably would have chosen Well, I would have chosen the one I did choose. I like having a bow. It's late afternoon when you see the Tahoe Hills. They appear like a mirage on the horizon, shimmering beyond the haze that rises from the sun-baked plain. Without stopping for food or rest, you hurry across the hot grassland and follow the highway as it ascends towards the mouth of a pass. A stone watchtower guards the entrance to the hills, and a cluster of whitewashed huts lies around its base. If you have pathmanship and have bought enough books, you may turn here. Your senses tingle with a premonition of danger. You are sure that the watchtower and hut conceals an enemy lying in ambush. You tell Bane your fears, and he looks ahead, his eyes narrowing. The pass is dark with a gathering dust, and he cannot detect anything unusual about the settlement, though it appears deserted. If we avoid the pass, we'll have to make a wide detour to join the highway at a place deeper in the hills. Even if we don't get lost, we'd be lucky to reach Tahoe before nightfall. Let us take the safer path. Stones rattle beneath your horse's hooves as you skirt the slopes of the Tahoe Hills. An hour slips by before you happen upon the mouth of a gorge that offers a shorter route to the north. You enter and ride along a dried-out watercourse that winds for a mile between turrets of dull-coloured rock, before rising steeply into the hills. At this point, a small stone hut sits overhanging the gorge. Candlelight flickers at its window and a wisp of wood smoke rises from its chimney. Sure, we'll investigate the hut. You dismount and hand Baindon the reins of your horse before approaching the door of the hut. With the tip of your weapon, you lift the latch, and push it open. Wary of what may lurk inside, the hut, however, seems to be empty. Furnished with a table, bed and chair, and a saucepan full of foul-smelling broth which simmers on a grate of a fire, well charged with freshly cut logs. If you have divination, turn here. Someone is hiding in the cellar, located below where you are standing. To access the hiding place, you need to use a trapdoor in the far corner of the hut. Show yourself! Minutes pass before the lurker shows himself. Hunchbacked old man dressed in rags, thin grey hair, and a wrinkled face that bears the impressions of a lifetime of poverty. Two eyes, clouded with cataracts, stare up at you from the dark and dusty hole. Take what you will, but please spare my worthless life. You have nothing to fear from me, old man. Let me help you out of this hole. As you say so, you take hold of his scrawny arms and lift him with ease, for he weighs no more than a child. He hobbles to the fireplace and stirs the broth with a wooden spoon, which he keeps on a string around his neck. He offers you some, but you politely refuse. Yeah, we'll give the old man a meal. He accepts your offer and adds the food to the broth bubbling on the grate. He tells you he is a hermit and has lived here at the edge of the gorge for almost all his life. He is nearly blind, but knows every inch of these hills as well as he knows his own hut, and he offers to show you and Bane a shortcut to Tahoe. Sure. He takes you into the gorge and leads you to a place where a massive outcrop of rock overhangs a tangle of bushes and foliage. Hidden behind this leafy cover is the entrance to a cave. A rivulet of fresh water trickles from the cave mouth, and the sound of constant dripping echoes in its distant depths. Follow the straight path through the cave. Do not stray. Soon you will emerge from the hills and see Tahoe before you. Godspeed. And with this farewell wish, the hermit hobbles away, eager to return to his hut and devour the fresh food that you have given him. You think this is the guy the shaman was talking about, who promises to be friendly but isn't? The roof of the cave and the tunnel beyond is high enough for you to ride through on horseback. The interior is pitch black, and you need some sort of light. If you have the fire sphere, a lantern, or a torch, or a tinderbox, go here. Your light illuminates the tunnel ahead, and within minutes you have found your way through to a hillside exit that overlooks a tidy village. Nope, it wasn't the old man. Seems legit, Mama. Called Vata. Vata, perched on the edge of the Tejo Flats. If your source of light is a torch, remember to erase it from your action chart. No, it was a lantern. And I also have the fire sphere. The flats comprise fields of cultivated crops that form a fertile market garden 2 miles wide. They are farmed right up to the banks of the great moat that encircles the capital. Vata is deserted, its male inhabitants shelter within the city walls, whilst the women and children have long since travelled south to the safety of Navasari. As you ride through the empty village and descend onto the flats, you catch your first awe-inspiring view of the city itself. Tejo, an ancient stronghold containing a vast city, is a formidable and wondrous sight in the moonlight. The imposing walls and towers of red stone and grey rock assume the softening sheen of velvet, and the city is often referred to as the Velvet Fortress. Beyond the towers and high curtain wall, you see 1,000 spires and minarets, grouped as thickly as trees of a forest. Tiny lights twinkle in countless windows and portals, adding to the splendor of this mighty capital. Near to the city's south gate, the highway is flanked by beacons, which illuminate those who approach the gatehouse. A drawbridge spans the moat of black water, and, as you ride across, bells toll from within the portcullised archway ahead. 2 civilian riders at the south gate, yells a soldierly voice. Raise the postern, shouts another. There is a clatter of chains and a scraping of stone. You watch the portcullis, expecting it to rise. It does not move, and instead a narrow portal opens at the base of the wall, and an armored guard steps from the shadows. He motions you to enter and you follow Bane along the corridor of stone leading to a secure enclosure. You glance upwards to see the face of dozens of soldiers, peering down at you from behind a parapet that encircles the high closed walls. All of them have loaded crossbows which they train on you. A small gate creaks open and 2 guards appear armed with broad-bladed spears. Who are you? Why do you seek entry here? If you have an invitation, turn to 321. If you say you want to help defend the city, turn to 196. If you say you wish to enter the cauldron, turn to 60. Enter the cauldron, says the guards incredulously. You're either a madman or take us for fools. But, though you try to explain, the guard becomes angry and refuses to listen. Dismount immediately, you're under arrest. I will, of course, not argue when I have a dozen crossbows trained on us. A troop of guards enters the enclosure at the double. They strip you of your weapons, special items, backpack, and escort you to a cell located high in the south gate tower. Bane is led away to another part of the city to be interrogated by a commander. Note the items that you have been stolen. Only if you rediscover them later on your adventure may you erase each X and then reuse them. The iron door slams shut and you are left alone to contemplate the unfortunate arrival you have had in Tejo. The cell is narrow and damp, with patches of mould that discolour the red stone walls. The uneven floor is strewn with filthy, mouldy straw, and the stale air is heavy with the stench of rotting food and sewage. A solitary window is crisscrossed with bronze bars green with age, and below it 1,000 scratches record the passing days of another visitor that had fallen foul of the gatehouse guard. Anxiously, you cast your eyes around the filthy prison, searching for a chink in its armor that might lead to your escape. I don't have Nexus, nor do I have Psi Surge. Sucks to be us. You pace your cell like a caged lion, cursing your predicament, and try to think of a way to escape. After an hour, you resign yourself to your fate and settle down on your haunches to sleep. The prod of a spear shaft wakes you from your slumber. On your feet, snarls a brutish sergeant-at-arms, standing over you with his spear poised to strike. 2 soldiers grab you roughly by the collar and shove you through your open cell into the arms of an escort that has come to take you before the chief magistrate. Your hands and feet are shackled with chains and you are bundled into a wagon waiting beside the south gate. It moves at breakneck speed, and by the time it reaches its destination, you're covered in bruises. Take 2 hit points. The courthouse of the chief magistrate. Ooh. The courthouse of the chief magistrate is a grim grey building, devoid of any decoration or embellishment. Its stark bare walls serve to remind the Tahousis, the Tehaoese, of its sober purpose. It is a place where justice is meted out to wrongdoers. Harsh punishments are imposed. Floggings and executions take place here every day of the week. All trials are conducted before a magistrate, and his decision is final. There are no juries in Teho. The chief magistrate presides over crimes that are serious enough to warrant the death penalty, and your heart sinks when you learn that he is to sit in judgment of you. You put up quite the struggle, but your shackles prevent you from breaking free of your escort. They drag you into the courtroom and throw you face down into an iron cage. It stands before the chief magistrate. A bell is struck to signal the arrival of this magistrate. As he enters the court surrounded by an entourage of scribes, a bell rings once more and the scribes say with one voice, "The hearing is now in session." If you have ever visited the city of Veretta, or a hut on the Ruanan Pike in a previous Lone Wolf adventure, turn to two... Of course we've been to the city of Veretta. We got the Lawstone of Veretta. You shake your head in disbelief when you see who is sitting in the magistrate's chair. It is Gwinion, Sage of Veretta, the man who foretold the dangers of the Chasm of Doom and helped you find the Lawstone of Veretta. "Our stars unite, Lone Wolf," he says, the trace of a smile wrinkling his kindly face. "Destiny has decreed we should meet again." Arrogantly, the Sergeant-at-Arms presents his case against you. The magistrate, Gwinion, is unimpressed with his account of your crimes. "Do you not know who this is that you have brought before the court?" The sergeant looks puzzled, and a thin film of sweat breaks out on his reddening face as his confidence crumbles. After a long and embarrassing silence, he replies, "No, sir. Lone Wolf. This is Lone Wolf, the last Kai Master of Summerland. Have you not heard of this man?" "Yes, sir," he replies hoarsely, scarcely able to believe what he is hearing. "I order his possessions to be restored to him forthright, and all charges against him dropped." A bell is rung to signify the end of the hearing, and the courtroom is cleared. You are released from the cage and ushered into the magistrate's chambers, where all your weapons, backpack items, etc. are returned to you. "Give me back my stuff." "Give me everything." "Everything." Okay. "The Elder Mages sent word of your coming, Lone Wolf," says Gwinion. "They knew of my appointment to the city judiciary when I came to live here 2 years ago. My home, the Halls of Learning in Veretta, was destroyed by a fire set by agents of the Dark Lords. Like yourself, I am a sole survivor and the last of my order. The Elders asked me to afford you what protection I could, and to help you in your quest for the Lawstone of Teho. He leads you to a table, the surface of which is engraved with a huge map of the city. With a rod of glass, he points to the location of the cauldron. It is in the Square of the Dragons, in the west district of the city. The cauldron is a funnel-shaped hollow with a circular shaft at its base. The shaft descends to the ruins of the ancient city of Zayrix, 500 feet below Teho. Legend tells us that the Lawstone was thrown into the cauldron to prevent the Black Zakan of Vasagonia from capturing it during the Great Cordium War. The shaft was closed off and remains sealed for the last 360 years. You ask Gwinion if he can order the release of your companion. It is already done. I released Bane into the custody of his former mentor, Cheban the magician. He is with him now at his house on Leech Street. He is safe, but you must not delay your quest by going there yourself. At dawn, the enemy will be at the gates of the city, and the battle for Tejo will have begun. There is only one man that can help now, for there is only one person who can grant you access. Who can grant you access to the shaft of the cauldron that descends to Zayrix. The man is President Toltuda, not Tortuga, Toltuda of Anari. Come, I will arrange an audience with him immediately. Gwinian dispatches a messenger to the Anarium, the House of the Senate, where members of the governing council have gathered for an emergency assembly, called by the president himself. Within the hour, the messenger returns with a furled parchment bearing the presidential seal. He's agreed to hear your plea, says Lone Wolf, says Gwinian, eyes scanning the message. The news raises your flagging spirits, but the sage seems a little disappointed. I was hoping for a private audience, but in view of the current crisis, I suppose it's the best we can expect. You will need to appear before the Senate this evening. State your reasons for wishing to enter the Tejo Cauldron, and they may consider your request and vote accordingly. Their decision will be final. He hands you a scroll and arranges for his personal carriage to take you to the Anarium. As you climb aboard and sink into the plush, upholstered seat, you exchange a farewell wave with Gwinian the Sage. Gods watch over you, he says. May you live to fulfill your destiny. The great flag-stoned precinct at the entrance to the Anarium is packed with hundreds of people. Senate officials, soldiers, citizens crowd the steps and give access to the grand foyer and outer chambers of the hall. You notice a side entrance is being used exclusively by army scouts who arrive with dispatches and leave with orders from the lookouts hidden in the surrounding hills. You take a calculated gamble and order the carriage driver to draw up at the side entrance. This bold move pays off. Upon seeing your presidential scroll, not only do the guards allow you into the Anarium, but you are escorted straight to the appellant's gallery inside the assembly hall. President Toltuga occupies a seat at the center of the hall and presides over a heated discussion. From your seat in the gallery, you stare down at an oval hall, ringed by 12 arches beneath which the senators of Anari sit upon their throne-like chairs of lacquered oak. President Toltuga occupies a seat in the center of the hall and presides over a heated discussion that is raging back and forth. Having heard all sides of the argument, he calls for a vote, and the issue is decided by show of hands. We now come to a quite extraordinary matter that has been raised by one of our most eminent citizens. Summer-lending Lord, Lone Wolf, make yourself known to the assembly. You rise from your seat and bow to the senators. Present your request, Lone Wolf, says the president, and a hush descends upon the hall as you explain the purpose of your journey. To Tejo. When you had finished, the president calls upon the senators to speak. Say that we should help this summer-lending man, pipes the shrill voice of Senator Zilaris. If he finds the Lawstone, its power could turn the tide and save Tejo from the clutches of Dark Lord Gnarg. And there's a murmur of silent agreements in the hall. I say we should refuse to open the cauldron, booms the powerful voice of Senator Chill. I say that if it were not for his presence in our city, we would be spared the attention of the Dark Lords. He has the object of their anger and spite. I say we should give him to them, and in doing so we might save our city, our country, our people, and ourselves. A surge of support echoes from the archers, and your skin prickles at the thought of what could happen. President Toltuga calls for a vote to decide whether the senators should be allowed should allow you to enter the cauldron, or if they should bargain using you for peace. Tensely, you await the result. The votes are cast and counted. The Senate is evenly split, 6 votes for you and 6 against. The decision rests with the President. He must cast the deciding vote. Standing beside the President's chair is a solid marble plinth with a bronze beacon, the Anarian's symbol of law and order, fixed to the top. The President moves his hand to the padded arm of the chair and presses the button. All eyes are on the beacon. There is a flash of ignition and a jet of green flame roars towards the domed ceiling. The Senate votes to aid your quest, Lone Wolf. Come, we will escort you to the Square of Dragons and make preparations for the cauldron to be opened. The assembly is dissolved and the stage coaches are summoned to take you and all the senators to the Tejo cauldron. You share a carriage, with the President, Senator Zalaris and Senator Chill, who are anxious to apologize for opposing the majority vote. I trust you will forgive me, Lone Wolf, he says unctuously. I merely proposed what I thought to be best for my country. I realize now that I am wrong. You nod benignly, in the hope that he will cease his fawning. He smiles and turns to the President. Sir, I feel I must make amends for my misguided actions in the Senate. If Lone Wolf is to enter the cauldron, surely it is our duty to ensure that he is adequately equipped. I propose that we visit one of our warehouses where he is free to take anything he requires. The President agrees, and the carriage is redirected to a warehouse near the Square of the Dragons. Senator Chill has many business interests in the city. He supplies much of the weaponry and armor that equips it. This warehouse is full of supplies, and you are encouraged to take whatever you need. Seeing as the game stole my dagger earlier, I might take a dagger. And I guess a flask of water? There have been worse things. In addition to your supplies, Senator Chill provides the winches, ropes, and cradle by which you'll be lowered into the shaft that descends to Zarix. Upon your arrival at the Square of Dragons, he supervises the assembly of these vital components, while you stand with Senator Zalaris and stare in awe at the cauldron itself. In the glow of 100 lanterns, it takes on the appearance of a huge sided sink that is stoppered with a plug of stone. The key to this plug is a rod of corlinium that, until this evening, was kept locked in the vaults of the Anarium. Now it rests in the hands of the President. Senator Chill signals his work is complete, and the President inserts the crystal rod into the plug of ancient stone. At first, nothing happens. Then your senses feel a vibration beneath your feet. Crackling tons of pale blue flame lap the rim of the plug, and the hiss of escaping air breaks the seal that has been there for 3 centuries. Vibrations occur beneath your feet. Oh no, sorry, wrong line. Crackling tons of pale blue fire lap the rim of the plug, and the hiss of escaping air breaks the seal of 3 centuries grime that holds the plug in place. Levers and ropes are brought into action, and slowly the great block is lifted and the shaft to Zarix uncovered. Come on, turn page. There will be troops posted here at the cauldron, ready day and night to pull you up when you are ready to leave, says Senator Zalaris, as he helps you into the cradle that will lower you into the shaft. Just give the rope 3 stout tugs, which will be the signal. The Senator appears to tell you everything is prepared for your descent. Good luck, Lone Wolf. I hope I will be here to welcome you safe and successful, and that you will come to know me as a friend. The cradle rises and you are swung into position above the entrance. You stare down at the black abyss, your pulse quickening as a damp and icy wind whistles out of the cavern. Sorry, icy wind whistles out of the shaft, carrying with it the cloying smell of decay. With a wave, you signal your readiness and are slowly lowered into the void. For the first few minutes of your descent, you can see the red stone walls encircling the cradle. Then a jagged rim of rock marks the end of the shaft. You are plunging into total blackness. You make out no walls or floor, and the shaft itself is now just a small circle of grey in the darkness above. If you have divination, go here. Deprived of your sight, you descend into the Stygian void. Your Kai perception compensates by becoming more sensitive and acute. An image forms in your mind of the evening's events, taking place around you. You see a winch and the faces of the Senate guards who are feeding the rope that supports your cradle. They are joined by another who has come to help their task. He takes his place at the lip of the shaft. He grips the rope, but hidden in his hands is a razor-sharp blade. He tightens, and your throat tightens with fear as you picture the gloating face of Senator Schill. The rope shudders, and instinctively you grab the rim of the cradle as it jerks violently to one side. Your knuckles whiten, and cold sweat bathes your brow. The cradle swings and twists, then a crack echoes in the underside. Your knuckles whiten, and cold sweat bathes your brow. The cradle swings and twists wildly, then a crack echoes in the darkness above as the rope snaps and you plunge headlong into the abyss. You fall like a stone into the whirling blackness. In desperation, you thrust out your arms, hoping to seize an outcropping or ledge. But there is nothing in the void for you to grasp. The freezing winds scream past your face, and your senses are overwhelmed by the horror of your impending doom. An icy shock engulfs you as you strike the surface of a lake and plunge into it head first. Oof. Stunned by the sudden impact and numbed by the icy water, you sink several fathoms before you muster your strength and strike out for the surface. Hey-ya! Roll the random number table. We just insta-die. Well, sucks to be us. That doesn't feel like a reasonable death. The shock of the fall and the numbing chill of the icy black waters conspires to sap you of strength. You flail and flounder in the deep until you are gripped by cramp and can no longer resist your doom. Unconsciousness smothers your pain as you sink slowly to the bottom of the lake. Weighed down by your equipment and the freezing water that fills your lungs, your quest and your life end here. The shaman was warning us about the friendly ice water. Screw animal control. Twice we saw the use of Nexus this run, so we're going to go with Nexus. I still stick with Spear here. We don't need all these bits of silver. And for this, I don't need the pass, or the lodestone, or the half-used quiver. Thank you. Yes, leave these things at the monastery. We would like potion, lantern, rope, new quiver, meal, grenades. Oh, I can't have grenades. Fine, no grenades for us. No matter how poorly you roll on attack or defense, you should be fine. So, the same thing. We will... Actually, you know what? This time we'll stop and talk to the people. The officer in charge of the mounted escort rides forward to meet you. He wears a silver denarian mail and a winged helmet embossed with the crest of Tehu. Hail, Captain, says Bane, upon seeing this crown-shaped badge of rank. The man narrows his eye and regards you with suspicion. He is about to reach for his sword when a woman shouts, Bane, Bane, is that you? Your companion recognizes the woman and waves. Lothar! By the stars, I had not expected to meet you here, he says in a surprised tone. The captain relaxes his guards and motions the wagons to continue moving, anxious that his entourage is not delayed. You can fall in with us, or save your reunion till we reach Navasari, he says. Lothar is the wife of Chiban, the famous Tahoese magician. He was my mentor when I lived and studied in the city. Sure, talk with the woman, Bane. Bane rides alongside the crowded wagon and talks with Lothar as the procession continues its way to Navasari. Within a few minutes' conversation, she hands him a scrap of paper, and then they bid each other farewell. They are the last of the evacuees. They expect the enemy to reach Tejo in 2 days. They've already seen Giak scouts. Early this morning, as a squadron of Kran was sighted high above the western skies. Whew. She advises us to steer clear of a village called Sidara. It's already fallen victim to the enemy, and she gave us this. Bane hands you the scrap of parchment. It contains a few lines of an Aryan script, an address, and a signature. It's an invitation to stay at the Chiban and Lothar's house in Tahoe. It may be useful when we reach the city gate. Mark this special item on your inventory. Okay, examine the wares. Give the beggars some money. We will buy meal. Drink. We gave them enough money to make them happy. Old woman leads to wizard man. We will ask the farmhands. Use hunting. Now. No, we're meant to stay on our way. We do have the money. Last time we talked to the owner. Let's talk to the other people. The father and farmers that are talking at the inn turn to each other and ask riddles. In Anari, it is forbidden to gamble for money on games of chance, but the wily Anarians get around the law by devious means. They gamble on being able to answer riddles correctly, which demands exercising skill rather than chance. And they wager goods, sometimes their services in place of money. By the time you join them, the father and his sons have amassed quite an assortment of valuable items, and the plains farmers are anxious to win back some of their possessions. Sure, let's look at their gamble. It is the father's turn to ask a riddle, but firstly you must decide on your stake. You could gamble a special item or 3 backpack items. Meal, lantern. Go. Okay. A hush descends as you wait for the riddle patiently. The father, whose name is Kimar, draws a dagger from its scarab and lays it on the table. He then rests his hand on the shoulder of his eldest son and says, "This dagger is now half as old as my son was when the dagger was new. My son is 15 years old. How old is the dagger?" Notepad! Math puzzle! We did so well with the egg puzzle that the game is rewarding us with more math puzzles. Yeah. Okay. Now. Dagger, age. Surely this calls for matrix math? No, I think it's only linear algebra. Dagger age equals D. Sun age equals... Wait, what? Wait, what happened? No, what happened? I didn't click on anything, game. Boo! Okay. Whatever. Maybe next time. Neither you nor the Plains farmers are able to answer the riddle correctly, and you all forfeit your stakes. Kamar is a sporting fellow. He offers you a chance to win it back by answering his next riddle. This is Juno, my youngest boy. Juno, J. Old man... No, Kamar equals K equals 4 times Juno. 20 years from now, I will be only twice as old as him. So K plus 20 equals 2 J plus 20. How old am I, and how old is my son today? Let's double check that we've made that sensibly. I am 4 times as old, so K, the age of man, equals 4 times J. Yep. 20 years from now, K plus 20, I will only be twice, equals 2 J plus 20. Yes, we can back substitute. And we get... yeah. 4J plus 20 equals 2J plus 20. Four J plus 20 equals 2J plus 2J plus 40. Subtract 2J from both sides. 2J equals 20. J equals 10. J equals 10, and then K equals 4 times that, which is 40. How old am I, and how old is my son today? If you think you have the both answers, the riddle, add the ages together, which would be 50. Yes, this is the correct answer. Maybe it thought I clicked something while I was resizing the my notepad, which you can see me dragging around by how it changes the amount of whiteness on the camera, because notepad is very white. Anyway, your answer is correct, and Kamal is the first to congratulate you on your display of quick thinking. He returns your lost stake. Having demonstrated your intelligence, the farmers are reluctant to continue gambling. They gather what little they have left and bid you good night. Kamar and his sons follow suit, leaving you and Bane on your own. Go get some sleep. Yes, the woman yells for us to get up again. Ride forward and meet the soldiers. Tell them why we're going to Teho. Obey. Bane casts web. We run away. We avoid the settlement that we know is now not just because of our sixth senses, but because of the lady in the cart we know is bad. We help the old man. He's hiding in his cellar. Although we could also search the hut. No, we leave the hut without finding the old man. Ooh. A dirt track leads away from the hut and into the hills above. It is a precarious path to follow, especially on horseback and at dusk. Only your quick wits and Kai skills keep you from plunging with your horse into the steep-sided gullies that border the rocky track. Eventually you arrive at a junction where the path meets a wider road heading north and south. The signpost lies shattered on the ground, but instinctively you know that the north route leads towards Teho. You point the way and Bane acknowledges your signal with a wave. As you turn onto the highway, you suddenly feel you are being watched. Pinpoints of red fire glint in the darkness, and the sound of hunting, hungry, panting doom wolves comes on you on the night air. Before you can shout a warning, a shrill scream splits the night. It is this chilling cry, this chilling sound of a Giak battle cry. You are being attacked. The doom wolves howl, and their Giak riders cackle with glee as they hurl themselves upon you. You lash out at the grey-skinned rider, cleaving his grinning head in two, swinging your arm back just in time to dispatch a doomwolf leaping towards your face. All around you, the snarl and screech and press of bodies threatens to overwhelm your senses, but you are a Kai Master, and in the heat of battle, your nerves are as cool as ice. Grimly, you fight with the speed and skill that leaves a dozen dead in as many blows. However, you do not fight alone. Bane rears into view, flashes of flame spurting from his fingers with a crack like a whip. Like a whip! That echoes above the din of combat. Then another wave of wolf riders appears. They charge into the fray, driving a wedge between you and your companion. A black sword cuts the air less than an inch from your scalp, but you deal with its wielder a fatal blow before he can strike a second time. He falls, yet his doomwolf mount leaps up and clings to your horse, its claws buried into the leather saddle, its foaming jaws snapping at your throat. You must dispatch the beast quickly. If you have animal control, add 2 to your skill for this fight. 1, 2. You defeated it without taking almost any damage. If you kill it quickly, turn here. The dead doomwolf drops heavily to the ground, and your horse rears up on its hind legs, churning the air with its forehooves, which strike like steel hammers amid the remaining wolf riders. More than one ends its days with your horse's hoofprints stamped upon its shattered skull. A gap appears, and you see Bane gallop past, his loose robe streaming behind him like a pair of blue wings. You dig in your heels and urge your brave horses after him, fleeing the battlegrounds as yet more of the wolf riders loom into view. The wolf riders give chase, but their pursuit is half-hearted, and you've covered less than a mile when you hear the Gieks call off their hunt. They console themselves by hurling threats and vile curses as your backs disappear swiftly into the dusk. The highway emerges from the hills at a village called Varta, situated on the edge of the Taegu Flats. The flats consist of fields, blah 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 blah, same as before. Okay, this time we have an invitation. The guards inspect their invitation, their expressions conveying their doubt that the signature it bears is genuine. They order you to dismount, and one of them hurries off to summon the gatehouse commander. Fortunately, he recognizes Lorca's mark and allows you to leave the enclosure. Although he impounds your horses, you protest and demand that they're returned, but to no avail. Orders of the Senate. Emergency decree. All horses belonging to civilians must be delivered into the care of the garrison stables until the state of emergency is lifted. He gives you a receipt. Report to the Citadel first thing in the morning. You'll be allocated your battle position so when the enemy attacks. Leaving your horses and the south gate behind, you enter a wide avenue flanked by workshops and houses, all built of red stone and rock, sheathed in red plaster. The buildings themselves are small and densely packed, yet each one, no matter how humble, has a spire or tower that soars into the sky. The large, sleepy-eyed heads of stone dragons gaze down from the balconies of minarets. Crowded either with bulbous onion-shaped domes of copper or with platforms housing engines of war recently installed. Baindham points to an eating house and suggests that you stop there for some refreshment. Cheban's house is more than an hour's walk, and you are ravenous from your long ride. No, we can ignore our rumbling stomach. You arrive at the part of the city that Baindham remembers well. It borders the large public garden called the Rainbow Park, named this way because of the vast number of rare and colourful flowers that grow there. The park is now an encampment for those who have answered the President's desperate call for defenders. Survivors from the towns of Risa and Zyla have joined forces, with green-clad Daroga woodsmen, tough hill dwellers from the Char Mountain Valley, and river folk from the Churdas, forming regiments to reinforce the Tejo garrison. Their battle-stained banners, lit by the flickering glow of 100 campfires, flutter above the tents that fill the great park. Opposite the entrance stands the Guild Hall of Tailors. You turn into an avenue running besides the imposing hall and cross into the North District by means of alleys and side streets, finally emerging at Leech Street opposite the house of Cheban the magician. He His is a grand building of polished red stone set with small diamond-paned windows that twinkle like cat's eyes in the moonlight. You pass beneath its arched gateway and climb the magnificent tiled steps that lead to a black oaken door. Bane raps the knocker and you wait patiently for it to open. Minutes later, the door swings aside and the aristocratic figure of Chiban stands framed in the doorway. Keen-eyed and grey-haired, he welcomes you both with surprise and delight. "Bane!" he exclaims, like a father reunited with his long-lost son. "How good to see you! What brings you to Teho at this darkest of hours? Have you come to offer your skills in the defense of our beleaguered city?" "My services are yours to command, Lord Chiban," answers Bane, bowing respectfully to his former mentor. "Yet, also, I return to your esteemed household to seek help at the behest of King Olnar of Summerland, and I introduce my companion, Lone Wolf." Chiban turns his kindly gaze on you and smiles knowingly. "I am honored to meet you, Kai Lord. I have knowledge of what you seek and shall aid you all I can in your search for it." Now this feels like it might be the friendly person who isn't friendly. He beckons you to enter the door and closes it behind you, seemingly of his own accord. You follow Chiban to his study. The musty room is lined with massive wooden racks full of books and papers. At its center, a large circular table is completely covered with the implements of his magical researches. He clears a space amid the clutter and motions you to sit. "You must both be famished after your journey. Come, eat, enjoy." For a few seconds, a shimmering pool of light fills the space and then fades, leaving a sumptuous meal of grilled trout, baked potatoes, hacker root, and sparkling Iranian wine. You may heal 3. When you've finished your meal, you talk at length about the journey from Desi and your quest for the Lawstone of Teho. Chiban produces a map of the city, which he unfurls on the floor and studies, the only surface not cluttered with magical equipment. With his toe, he points to the location of the Teho Cauldron. It is in the Square of Dragons in the West District. The cauldron is a funnel-shaped hollow with a circular shaft. The shaft descends to the ruins of the ancient city of Zarex, 500 feet below the streets of Teho. Legend tells us that the Lawstone was thrown into the cauldron to prevent the Black Zakan of Vasagonia from capturing it during the Great Cordium War. The shaft was closed off and has remained sealed for the past 360 years. He looks up from the map and you notice that his smiling features are sad and composed. At dawn, the armies of Dark Lord Gnag will be at the gates of the city and the Battle of Teho will have begun. My duty is here in the defense of my beloved city. Otherwise, I would accompany you in your search. There is only one man who can help, for he is the only one that can grant you access to the shaft. He is President Toltuda. Come and I will arrange an audience. Okay, blah blah blah. We go to the president. I will hear your plea. Blah blah blah. Go to the Senate. Blah blah blah. Senate is the same as before. This time we roll differently. "Seize him!" shouts Senator Shill. "Seize Lone Wolf!" The president votes against you, and now the Senate guards are closing in on all sides. In a single bound, you leave your seat and sprint along the gallery, towards an empty staircase. To your right, a guard is rushing to intercept your escape. He is unarmed, but has a net with which he hopes to ensnare you. He casts it at you as you are about to descend the stairs. We do have hunt mastery. I don't roll exceedingly crappily. You flatten yourself against the floor and the net passes harmlessly above you. Before the guard can react, you are back on your feet, running down the stairs. 3 soldiers wait you at the bottom of the staircase. They clutch wooden staves in their sweaty hands, ready to beat you senseless the moment you appear. "Get him!" they shout. Run forward clumsily and flat-footed compared to your cat-like strides. Before they land a blow, you leap among them, striking left and right too quickly for their eyes to follow. They scream and clutch at their wounds as you make your getaway unharmed. You run from the staircase as quickly as you can and follow a corridor that leads towards the front of the Anarium. In the distance, you can see an entrance hall teeming with people, and 2 soldiers, both armed with halberds, standing guard with their backs towards you. To your left there is a window, and you look through to see a carriage parked close to the side of the building. Sure, don't go through the guards. The window is bolted shut. You'll have to risk jumping through the pane of glass. Sure. Bork, 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 says Doggo. You raise your hood and wrap yourself in your cloak. The glass shatters with a terrific crash. It alerts the soldiers. They surround the carriage and arrest the driver, forcing you to abandon your hopes of escaping this way. You escape into a crowd that surrounds the Senate House and enter a labyrinth of passages that disappear into a neighborhood known as the Parish of Thieves. However, your escape is not completely unnoticed. From the tower of the Anarium, the captain of the Senate Guard was watching your getaway through his telescope. He has dispatched a troop of his best men to track you down. On the corner of a dark alley, you hear the sound of drunken laughter floating up from the battered door of an alehouse. You turn away, but the sudden tramp of booted feet echoing down the passage behind you makes you change your mind. You descend the steps and take shelter in the tavern. The cellar is full of rough-faced villains laughing and bragging about their illegal exploits. As they swill their sour ale, you cross the crowded floor and sit at the end of the table, far from the door as possible. A thin, wiry fellow with curly black hair approaches you. You have taken his seat, and he is determined to get it back. Find somewhere else to sit, stranger. This place is mine, he demands, grasping the hilt of his dagger with his free hand. You sense movement outside the street, and you glance nervously at the cellar door. Get up, growls the man, drawing his dagger. If you dare cross Sog of Swentia, you'll not live long enough to regret it. In that instant, the door bursts open, and in rush 6 heavily armed Senate House guards. Thinking that the ale cellar is being raided, something of a routine event here in the Purple Purse, the shady patrons drop their drinks and flee towards the open door in an attempt to escape arrest. Sog, the thief who threatened you, heads towards a shadowy archway. You run after him and grab him by the arm. Get me out of here! Name your price. The wily thief smiles at the thought of making some easy money. Give me your money pouch and I'll save your skin. Delete all gold that you are carrying. Oof! Amid chaos and confusion, you leave the ale house through a concealed door in the wall of the arch. It opens to a sloping passage that descends to a tunnel lit by oil-soaked torches fixed at random along the tiled walls. The foul smell assailing your nostrils has the unmistakable stench of an underground sewer. You follow Sog along a narrow ledge that runs parallel to a sluggish sewage channel. Taking care not to slip on the slime-encrusted tiles, after a few minutes, he halts beneath one of the spluttering torches, presses its rusty iron bracket. There is a grating rumble and a section of tunnel wall opens to reveal an amazing sight. Before you lies a huge chamber. The walls are hung with silk and fine tapestries, and its sunken floor is piled high with glittering treasure. As you enter, a perfumed breeze ruffles your hair and the sound of songbirds fills your ears. Sog leads you past a bubbling pool of clear crystal water into an antechamber. Here, lying on a couch of vivid scarlet, rests the ruler of this sanctuary. Dressed in an elaborate costume of many colors, his large, squarish face is framed by a hood, trimmed with strange purple fur. He stirs from his slumber and opens his coal-black eyes. Cad-dul Dinar Liuk. Sog, who is this man? Why have you brought him here? Thief tries to offer an explanation, but it only makes him angry. You sniveling fool! You know it is forbidden to bring outsiders into the secret enclaves of the guild. I should have you flogged for your stupidity. For all we know, this northerner could even be a spy. Or even... He pauses, staring up at you freely. An assassin! He snatches a gem from his pocket, holds it in the air. Cad-dul Dinar Liuk, he breathes, and a vivid green flame engulfs the sparkling jewel. I don't have sight screen. Waves of pain course through your body. Your head feels as if you're being squeezed by an invisible vice. You cry out as the psychic attack increases. The man commands you to reveal the reason you are here. He smiles smugly as you recount everything about yourself, your quest for the Lawstone, your ordeal at the Senate House. As you reach the end of the account, he gives vent to a long, sardonic laugh. I am Maghana, the Guild Master of Thieves. In all the years I have dwelt beneath the Velvet Fortress, I have dispatched many men to the Teho Cauldron to seek out ancient treasures. Though few have gone willingly, and fewer still have returned alive. Know this, Summerlending. The cauldron is but one way to enter the main shaft to Zarix. There are other routes, other shafts, many known to me. I can show you one, but you must do something in return. Cautiously, you ask his terms. My son, Abek, entered the shaft 3 moons ago, drawn by the stories of Dragon Goal. He has not returned. All I ask is that you find his body and bring me the ring he wears upon his right hand. Without hesitation, you agree. They seem reasonable terms. He smiles. This time his eyes glow with a strange intensity, as if he were a man on the brink of madness. Do not fail me, he says softly. I shall know if you lie. Maghana leads you to another room, one of several that lead from his sumptuous chambers, and approaches a dais standing near the door. He passes his hand over a crystal set into its surface, and at once a section of the wall moves inwards, exposing darkness beyond. A damp, icy wind fills the room, carrying with it a cloying smell of decay. Elsewhere in the chamber are tables laden with equipment, placed in no doubt, for those who dare venture into the wind-swept portal. Take what you need, says Maghana. Then go. Sure, let's look what he's got. I wouldn't mind replacing my dagger. Get rid of 1 meal for a flask of water. Seems about right. I'm not allowed more daggers. More arrows. Your pulse quickens as you look into the black abyss beyond the portal. You can make out no walls or roof, and the hollow wind that whistles in the darkness makes it easy to imagine that you are staring into a limitless void. There is a rope ladder fixed to the threshold. It descends into the darkness below. Just start using the ladder. Your descent is slow and arduous, fraught with hazards. The wind becomes stronger and colder the further you go. Roll the random number table. Because we have Nexus, we can add 3. We do okay-ish. We do suffer a little bit of damage. When you reach the bottom rung of the ladder, you are horrified to discover the ladder stops short of solid ground, and there is nothing but darkness below. You peer into the gloom, though it is impossible to tell how much further you have to descend. If you have a rope... I do have a rope. You tie one end of the rope to the bottom rung, drop the rest into the darkness. Seconds later you hear it strike stone and realize you will not have to descend very far. You climb down the rope and pass through a layer of mist that glows with a curious blue-green luminescence. 20 feet below the mist, your feet touch firm ground. Erase the rope from your action chart. Close to where you land lie the skeletal remains of the human body. Examine it. This is not Maghana's son. He has nothing on him. So we continue. 1 sec, sorry. The rigid walls of the stone chamber narrow to a point where the mouth of a tunnel disappears steeply into the solid black rock. You enter the tunnel, taking care to control your descent as you slide towards a dim, flickering light that marks the end of the shaft. Halfway along the shaft, you hear a rumble, like the sound of a distant earthquake. Then cracks appear in the roof, and the deluge of dust and rubble pours down. choking and blinding you as it clogs your throat and eyes. We do have Nexus, because it's proven too useless, this thing. Your discipline allows you to filter air from the massive dust cloud without inhaling any of the harmful grit. It contains spores of fungus, deadly to humans. Your Kai skills shield you from these perilous microscopic cells. The circular walls shake violently, and you slip and tumble headlong down the shaft, landing with a jolt on a slab of flat, spongy rock at the edge of a huge subterranean lake. There is a tremendous roar as the ceiling of the tunnel collapses and tons of rock crash down, sealing the shaft. Your spirits sink as you contemplate your fate. The only way you know of escaping from the underground grotto has now been sealed off. You don't completely lose your hope, but your senses detect a powerful presence. It is a feeling you have known before, when you have been close to discovering a lost stone, but never has the sensation been as strong as here in this dark subterranean world. As your eyes become accustomed to the half-light, you look across the lake to see tiers of grey stone rising out of the water. They are the steps of a gigantic staircase, which ascends to an arc of rock veined with glittering minerals. You skirt the edge of the lake and arrive at the foot of these steps to discover a cave-like hollow, chiseled from the stone. You are exhausted and must eat a meal or lose health. We are allowed to use hunting. You are awoken by the stench of decay. A grey-skinned being, squatting on its haunches, stares down at you with grim, inhuman eyes. Drool trickles from its ragged lips, and the rusty sword it holds in its twisted, man-like hand is lifted to kill. Fight it. Fight, fight, fight. Very dead. Remember, the summer sword does double damage. Your killing blow knocks the ghoul off of the hollow, sending it tumbling into the lake. More of the corpse-like creatures can be seen creeping along the shore, and the sound of their snuffling whispers and curses makes your blood run cold. They move with unnatural speed, eager to feast upon your flesh. Try and run. As you step from the hollow, a weight drops onto your back and drags you to your knees. Long, sharp fingers, as hard as steel, clamp around your throat, and the sound of gnashing fangs fills your ears. You twist and roll, hoping to break free of the creature's grip, but it is unnaturally strong. Fight, fight, fight. It barely scratched us. We killed it quickly. The speed with which you slew your attacker strikes fear into the grisly hearts of the advancing ghouls. They slink away, their grey forms merging with the shadows at the far side of the lake. You're about to hurry away from the hollow, in case they should return with more of their kind, when you notice an odd-looking token lying next to the dead ghoul. Examine. It is hexagonal in shape and made up of thin, cream-coloured metal, engraved with the number 6. Make note of this number in the margin of your action chart. It could prove useful later. The metal begins to get hot as you bend it in your fingers. It bursts into flame, forcing you to fling it aside before it burns your hand. The flaming token hits the lake and explodes in a cloud of white, powdery smoke. The echo of the explosion reverberates across the water, and you turn to leave straight away in case it attracts more ghoulish inhabitants. Ooh, that's a nice picture. You climb to the top of the arch at the top of the stairs. Each step is as tall as a young tree, and the smooth black stone offers few handholds. Several hours slip by before you reach the summit. There you stare down through the great archway at a stupendous sight. The streets and buildings of an ancient civilization lie before you, disappearing into the gloom of a titanic chasm of immeasurable size. Ziggurats and towers, their carved walls cracked and crumbling, gleam at impossible angles, having sunk into the soil over the many centuries. This is Zarex, the legendary metropolis that was once home to the race fathered by Nixator, greatest of all dragons. It is the only city to have survived the age of chaos that followed the demise of their race. A wide avenue leads from the archway to enter the city. at a place flanked by two massive statues of dragons, sitting on their haunches with their stone-fanged mouths agape. You stop to rest and must eat. If you have hunt mastery, you are able to hunt. Yes, please. You're about to set off into the city when you catch the glimpse of a shadowy figure, moving furtively along the ruins. Sure, we'll investigate. Fearfully, you approach the shadow until you can discern its gruesome features. It is a ghoul, similar to the ones you had before, but this creature looks even less human. Its swollen skull is set lopsided on its withered frame, and a long black tongue hangs from its jagged mouth. It drips with a sickly black venom that bubbles like boiling acid as it hits the ground. It raises a wasted hand, and a cone of mist swirls towards your chest. The mist whirls around you, lose 6 health. Confident about its attack, it moves to advance. Holy shit! 220 damage? That is absurd. At last, the grisly creature surrenders to death and collapses at your feet. You sheath your weapon and kneel over its torn body. Drawn by the sight of a ring on its finger, it gleams incredibly, as though only minutes old, and a deep yellow stone is set in the silvery metal, which glows with an eldritch light. Sure, I will keep this magic ring. Why not? For countless hours, you follow the great avenue as it bisects the heart of Zarex. The once grand buildings that line this ancient thoroughfare are in varying states of decay. Some are almost intact, others have disintegrated into little more than piles of black rubble. You try to keep track of time, but it proves difficult in the perpetual half-light of this buried world. Twice you stop to sleep and eat before you near the center of the city. Erase 2 meals or lose 3 endurance. If you have hunt mastery, you can forage. There you discover a great hall, its arched porticos smooth and undamaged by time. Is that the plural of porticlus? No. It is a porch that leads into the entrance of a building. Widely used in ancient Greece and has influenced many cultures. Well, I don't remember hearing that word ever before. You notice a group of reptilian creatures huddled at the top of a staircase that descends into the darkness. They are stroking a large leathery egg and speaking to each other in a low hissing language. We can hunt. We can hunt. Approach the creatures. I do not have invisibility. The reptilians hear you and fix you with frightened stares. They wrap their webbed hands around the leathery egg and slink quickly down the stairs. You run and peer down into the gloom, but can see nothing. I do have a torch. As your light flares to life, you notice an object lying on the steps, dropped by one of the reptilians. It is a hexagonal-shaped piece of metal. I have examined one previously. This one has a mathematical equation, and you calculate the answer as 320. So we've had 6 and 320. Yeah, we'll assume that they've prepared an ambush for us. Your caution is well placed. As soon as the door creaks open, a bolt of fiery energy screams over your head and explodes with a tremendous ear-splitting crack against the stairs below. It was launched from the tube of glowing crystal on the shoulders of 2 reptilians, kneeling in the corridor ahead. They had a shoulder Missile launcher? Their long jaws fall open in surprise when they see you rise to your feet and run to warn them. They are immune to Mind Blast. And they lose extra health to start with. They just insta-die. You follow the corridor to a curved flight of alabaster stairs and descend them to a massive chamber. The floor is constructed of steely blue metal, flecked with silver, and 100 darkened archways line the walls. Directly ahead stand 2 gigantic doors of sheeted platinum, engraved with patterns breathtaking in their intricacy. The chamber is deserted, but as you cross the floor and approach the doors, you are acutely aware that any of the archers could be hiding a legion of reptilians. At the center door, there is a lock that consists of 4 hexagonal buttons, arranged in the shape of a pyramid, with 1 button at the top and 3 buttons in a line below. Each time you touch a button, a glowing number appears on its surface. Your Kai senses informs you that it is a combination lock. If you press each button several times until the correct number is shown on all 4 buttons, the lock will release the door. If you know the correct number to press for the top button and the correct 3-figure number for the bottom, add both numbers together. So it was 326. Yes, this is correct. Proceed with your quest. Bork, 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 says Doggo. There is a soft whir as the mechanism of the lock disengages, but the door does not open. You will need this key. The words sound in your head. You spin around to see a female reptilian, the leader of her kind. She moves towards you from the archway to your right, holding a rod of corlinium in her webbed hand. A glint of several eyes in the darkness of the other archers warns you that she is not alone. Telepathically, she calls to you. You are unlike the other man-things that have dared to enter Zarex. What is it you seek? We will be honest with her. I seek the Law Stone of Tehu. I am the Kai Lord Lone Wolf. I am on a quest for the wisdom of Nixator, that I may vanquish the spawn of his enemies and save my people from destruction. Her harsh gaze softens as your proud words fill the chamber with resonant echoes. You sense a sadness within her. She replies with words of joy that form in your mind. Your quest will be fulfilled, as it was by your sire many centuries ago. We have waited long for your coming, Wolf, and we will fulfill our duty to him who gave us life. She opens the great platinum doors and beckons you to follow her. You follow her along passages and sloping tunnels, along long flights of stairs, and through magnificent chambers that no human eye has seen before. The alien splendor of the ancient city leaves you in awe of the race that once dwelt these halls. For interminable hours you follow her in her wake, until you arrive at a circular chamber of rust-red stone. The floor descends in a series of wide steps that encircles the room, and in the middle of the tiers is a shallow pit with a stone dais at its center. At your approach, the dais glows with a crimson light that pulses like living heat. No, like a living heart. Shimmering waves of silvery radiance sweep the steps, and a chorus of voices, soft and serenic, echoes through the upper reaches of the chamber. You surrender yourself to instinct and step on the dais, cupping your hands before you and raising your face to the roof. A golden light pours out of the darkness, soaking you in its brilliance and filling your senses with a warm glow. The gasp of awe arises from the tiers, now crowded with reptilians. They are Crocorics, the guardians of the city, the stewards of the Law Stone, who were placed here by the great god Kai. With joy and sorrow they have gathered to witness the fulfillment of their purpose, for your coming marks the end of their stewardship and the beginning of their demise. High above you, a shadow is taking form at the core of the golden light. It is dark and leathery and shaped like an egg. Slowly it breaks open to reveal a sparkling crystal sphere, the Law Stone of Teho. A warm tingling runs through your body as the Lawstone descends into your hands. As you touch the crystal, your senses become charged with a new vitality that obliterates the fatigue of your ideals and fills you with newfound wisdom. Restore your health. Then a swirl of color engulfs your body as you feel yourself fall forward into the throat of a spinning vortex. The chamber dissolves, and you begin to rise at an ever-increasing speed as if you're falling upwards. A surge of light makes you close your eyes, but it passes in an instant, and you find yourself staring down at an incredible sight. You look upon the city of Teho from the balcony of the tall tower, the spire of the Phallus Temple, situated at the heart of the Rainbow Park. It is noon, and there is no brightness in this day, for a grey blanket of smoke covers the sky. Below you lies a shattered city, its once proud buildings, seething infernos, its streets and squares choked with rubble. Hasty defences have been constructed where the city wall is holed or fallen, and the battlements to the north and east are covered with unburied dead. Beyond the wall, the flats lie shrouded in a mist that curls like the smoke of 1,000 campfires. Its thickness is unnatural, and you sense at once that it has been conjured to hide the enemy. You leave the tower and make your way through the burning streets towards the west district, where the fighting at the wall is fiercest. You pass the smouldering ruins of the Inarium and take a fire-swept street that leads to the west gate. A building at the end of the street is being used as a shelter for the wounded. The roof has caught fire, and a handful of soldiers are trying desperately to evacuate. Sure will help. The first floor is set ablaze as the winds whip the roof fire into a raging inferno. A soldier, his face and uniform completely blackened by soot, staggers down the stairs and collapses into your arms. The captain's up there! We do have Nexus, and we have bought enough books. You focus your improved Kai mastery at the flames that engulf the top of the staircase. Within a few seconds, they flicker and die, allowing you to reach the first floor in safety. The captain is crouched over his brother, protecting him with his body from the fiery debris that is raining down from the roof. Swiftly, you pull him to his feet and motion him to help carry his wounded brother out of the house. As you reach the street below, the roof collapses and the whole first floor is swallowed by flames. We owe you our lives, says the captain. I must return to my command at the north gate. Will you join me? Okay. The wagon races along the rubble-strewn streets towards a tower, one of many that reinforce the city walls. Standing on top of the tower is your companion, Bane. You ask the captain to stop and let you speak to your old friend, but he refuses. I must reach the north gate. You have divination. You have a strong premonition that death will befall you if you should stay on the wagon. Sure. Roll. We roll okay. You dive, roll twice, and bounce to your feet. Nothing more serious than a scratched shoulder and a bruised knee. Enter the tower. The iron door to the tower is unlocked, and you enter unopposed. At the top of the steep stone steps, you find a ladder to a trap door. That's nice to say, steep stone steps. Quickly, you climb the ladder and emerge onto the roof. By the gods, exclaims Bane. My prayers have been answered. You are alive, Lone Wolf. You are alive. Tears of joy fill his eyes as he welcomes your return warmly. He and his mentor Chiban, have been viewing the siege from this vantage point for 3 days. From this position, they control the movement of the few reserves allocated to the north and west city walls, using them to fill in the gaps when the enemy's attacks have weakened the defenses. Bane recounts how the siege has progressed. Twice the enemy has broken into the city and been repelled by the determined defenders. Attacks from the air set the city ablaze, but the enemy has lost great numbers of their flying cran, and now they are too weak to dare to use the few that remain. The Inarium was destroyed in the first few hours of the siege. Many senators lost their lives, including the Senator Chill and President Toltuda. Then he asks about your quest and is overjoyed to hear of your success. The gods smile upon you, Lone Wolf. So long as you live, there is hope for us all. Relentlessly, the enemies pour their fire upon the north and west walls until the black sky above Tehu takes on a vivid scarlet glow. The defenders look to their weapons uneasily and pray that the gods are with them, at least until dawn. And when the first rays of dawnlight show above the eastern hills, no mist enshrouds the armies of Dark Lord Gnag. They are massed in all their glory, awaiting the order to attack. You cast your eyes across this sea of doom and mark the many regiments of evil. That are ranged against the walls of Tehu. The armored legions of Vasagonia are the first to advance, moving in ordered columns towards the west gate. At their head walks a figure sheathed in gold, around whom a cold blue fire glows intensely. He strides within range of the city archers, and they send a cloud of arrows to greet him, but they shatter and crackle when they encounter his impregnable glowing shield. He crosses the siege bridge and halts before the west gate. In his hand is an orb made of black metal. He holds it before him and mouths an incantation. Instantly, a bolt of scarlet flame lances from the orb, destroying the great doors with a thunderous boom. Proudly, he strides into the city and its defenders melt, all before him. One summons enough courage to attack him with a spear. There is a crackling flash, and in an instant the soldier is transformed into a pile of glowing ash. He advances unchecked and undaunted by attacks, for they cannot penetrate his magical shield. Only when he faces you does he stop. "I have come for you, lone wolf," he says, a cruel smile on his lips. You gaze into the ice-cold eyes of Zakan Kima, ruler of Vasagonia. He raises his orb of black metal. You steel yourself for battle. We have the summer sword. A bolt of scarlet fire surges from the orb, speeding towards your head. You counter the attack, but the bolt changes course mid-flight. Catching your balance, its searing pain tears into your arm. Lose 5 endurance. The Kahan gloats over your pain and moves forward to exploit your advantage. You grit your teeth and raise your swords to defend yourself. You are aware of his troops fighting a desperate battle in the West Gate, but you know you must defeat him. We should heal up before we fight him. Description about this one. Yes, that seems correct. Heal up to full. Good. Fight. He has more combat skill and more health, annoyingly. First 2 rolls are in our favor, then the next 2 rolls are in his favor. Then 2 in our favor. You have died in combat by 1 HP. You lost your mission. Holy. And we are jacked, right? We have the summer sword, we have the shield, we have weapons mastery. We were at full health. We have the padded leather, we have the chainmail. Oh. Restart this book. Where's the damn and blast it all button? That's insane. I can't imagine how someone who didn't have all of the accumulated goodies we had from the previous adventures would possibly beat that fight. Right, we have this, this, and this, which gives us 2 health, 4 health, 2 health. And we have the summer sword. I really and genuinely do not see dagger is not needed. We'll go potion, rope, new quiver, lantern, meal. Done. It scales with completed... No, nothing does that, Vama. There is nothing that scales with, like, there might be 1 or 2 fights where if it says, if you have the summer sword, it gives you a slightly stronger version of the enemy. But usually it just says, if you have the summer sword, you get to, like, magic tennis racket, the magic back at people. So we talk to them. We let Bane talk to the woman. We continue. We buy the stuff from the poor people. The old woman takes us to this guy who said someone's going to pretend to help us and not really. We want to go to Tehu. Pay the money. Let's order food this time. We've never done that. A serving girl ushers you into an adjoining room where smoke from an open charcoal fire spirals up to the roof, filling the air with its pungent aroma. You seat yourselves at a round oak table, and the girl brings 2 plates loaded with broiled gorka steak and roasted parsnips, 2 tankards of ale served to wash down the feast, which Bane, in a generous move, pays for. Having satisfied your hunger and relieved your strength, you bid Bane good night and retire to your room. Okay, the woman yells, waking us up again. Yes. Meet the soldiers. We have an invitation. Avoid the settlement. Investigate the huts. We know that he's in the trapdoor. Give the old man some food. Accept his help. He takes us through the cave. We have a torch. We have the invitation. Let's go in the eating house. We didn't do that last time. The house is full of soldiers. Your entrance causes them to pause in their noisy conversation. However, their curiosity is soon satisfied and they return to their feasting and boasting. 2 soldiers of fortune share your table? Sure. Let's talk to the A-team. Did you know my brother Gain was killed in Ragadawn last year? He was stabbed in the back by a lousy northerner. Slowly he turns his head and stares coldly into your eyes. I hate northerners. They're all cowardly, backstabbing scum. Prepare for combat in case he attacks us. Suddenly he lunges forward, a curved dagger gleaming in his hand. Its razor-sharp blades speeds towards your throat, but you counter his attack in an instant with a savage swipe that shears his arm off at the elbow. Arm and dagger fall to the table, and the soldier falls screaming to the floor. His comrade kicks back his bench and steps away as he fumbles for his sword. With a drunken yell, he whirls the heavy blade around his head and leaps forward to attack. Sure, we'll kill him. Kill, kill, kill. As you step over the dead bodies and head towards the exit, the door crashes open and in rushes a squad of armed guards. Yield, Northerners! You have no hope except our mercy. Reluctantly, you and Bane raise your hands and are taken to the gatehouse tower. Bane, because he's a magician, is taken to another part to be questioned. I do have Nexus. We can escape this way. So we float the key to us with our Jedi levitation. At the end of the corridor, a flight of steps leads down to an open prison door. You peer around the doorway into the chamber beyond, where you see a man chained to a wall. He is lean and sinewy, with jet black hair and a moustache, which has been braided into his long sideburns, in a style known as Pirazan plaits, fashionable among Slovenian men. He appears to be either asleep or unconscious. You enter the chambers, moving swiftly and silently towards a staircase. He immediately springs to life. Hold fast. They'll catch you for sure if you take the stairs. Let me loose and I'll show you a way to slip out, quicker than the mist through a net. You consider his offer, but choose to leave him, deciding instead to trust your Kai instincts and escape. You shake your head and turn to leave, but the man is shrewd. He says something he knows will change your mind. I know where your friend is, he says, a note of desperation creeping into his voice. I know where they stowed your equipment. Let me loose and I'll show you. You undo the manacles that encircle his wrists. 1,000 thanks, he says, massaging his arms. I am Sog, master thief of Suetina at your service. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. He removes the wire from the lock. That was easy. Standing in the doorway are two burly guards, one clutching a bowl of food and the other a large iron key. Damn, I did think it opened a bit too easily, mumbled Sog. The guards drop what they are carrying and draw their swords, determined to prevent your escape. I don't have any weapons, which kind of sucks. But we win. Sog looks at you sheepishly as you search the dead guards. I am no fighter, he says, apologizing for his cowardly behavior. No stomach for it. He grimaces at the sight of blood-stained bodies, but manages to overcome his squeamishness when he spies a gold ring and a full purse upon one of the bodies. Your search reveals 4 useful items. Sword, dagger, key. After hiding the bodies, you follow Sog as he leads you through the chambers. Twice you were almost discovered, but your Kai skills and Sog's thief-like agility, because he's actually a thief, save you both from further confrontation until you reach the ground floor of the tower. One sec, sorry. Crouching in the shadows beneath the staircase, you look to the end of a torchlit corridor where a soldier stands guard at a pair of solid iron gates. Your weapons and equipment are on the other side of the gate. It's the tower strong room, though it's not as strong as they'd like to think. They caught me inside once, but they never found out how I managed to get in. There's a secret passage that leads through the wall to the stables outside. If you can get past the guard and into the storeroom, you can get your equipment back, and I can get what I came here for. We can both get out through the stables. What about my friend? He's not here. I overheard the guards say they were taking him to the East Gate Barracks. I'd worry about his neck after you'd saved your own. You stare at the guard, a plan slowly forming in your mind. Give me that purse of silver. Now wait a minute, says Sog in a fluster. Don't argue. You'll get it back. I just need the right sort of bait to hook us this fish. Reluctantly, good morning, Blato. He hands over the purse. Silently, you leave the shadows and creep along the corridor, taking care to avoid the pools of flickering torchlight. You're within 10 feet of the guard, and you lay out a trail of silver loon all the way back to the staircase. The guard notices the glint of silver and cannot resist the temptation. He leaves his post to collect the coins. You wait tensely, sword in hand, and he approaches slowly. He's within a few feet of your hiding place when suddenly he sees you and shouts for help. Throw your dagger at him. We do well, because we have mastery. He receives a fatal wound to the heart. He gasps, his sword slipping from his fingers, and he crashes lifelessly to the floor. You scoop the strong room key from his belt and hurry towards the gates while Song retrieves his silver. Once you are safely inside, you lock the door and begin to search for your equipment. It is stacked to the ceiling with all manner of goods and articles that have been confiscated by the guards. Contraband, stolen goods, illegal cargoes impounded at the south gate. It is rumored that the gatehouse guards cream the best of the booty for themselves, and it's no secret that the post of gatehouse commander is one of the most coveted in all of the army. You discover all your backpack and special items, but your weapons are nowhere to be seen. However, you find these instead. So, yes to all our crap. Give it all back. Thank you kindly. Plus 4 health. Plus 2 health. Plus 2 combat skill. Grenade, bow, invitation, receipt, arrow, 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 grenade, grenade. Sog is busy sifting through a mound of silver and antique jewellery, pocketing the choicest items and tossing aside the rest. He comes across a diamond, an obsidian signet ring, and beams with delight. Ah, I knew it was here, he says, and slips it inside his codpiece for safekeeping. Come, we've both got what we want. We best leave before they discover the dead guards. He beckons you to help him drag the table away from the wall and proceeds to tap at the brickwork with the hilt of his dagger. 2 minutes later, he's becoming agitated, having tapped every brick over 6 square feet of wall without any result. You cast your eye over the surface, and your Kai senses draws your attention to a brick of a different part of the wall. You tap it casually with the toe of your boot, and the panel slides to reveal a secret passage. How did you? Gasps Zog, his eyes open wide with amazement. A lucky guess, you reply modestly. And enter the darkened tunnel. He follows you, just as a patrol of angry guards finally force open the strong room door. The passage is dark and narrow. You're forced to turn sideways in order to move along it. To make matters worse, the floor is littered with large rocks that graze and bruise your leg. I have a torch. I don't have animal control. It's a rocktopus. The tentacles of a rocktopus. Your light has awoken and angered the sleeping rocktopus. It uncoils its long, slimy tentacles swiftly from the wall. They surge towards you like a mass of wriggling snakes. Okay. We kill it without taking any damage. The lever that opens the exit panel is near the ceiling, whispers Sog, casting a nervous glance over his shoulder. He can hear the guards scratching at the wall, trying to locate the brick which opens the concealed entrance. Your fingers find the lever and pull it. The panel slides aside, and you both step out into an empty horse stall. As the panel slides back into position, you jam it with a piece of timber. The stables are empty of guards, and it's easy to make your escape through a side window that gives access to an alley. Good luck, Northernder. I hope you find your friend. Remember they have him locked up in the Eastergate barracks. You bid him farewell. Let's go search for Bane's former teacher. Your passage along Brooker Court is hampered by a company of militiamen. The majority of them are oafish peasants, hastily armed with spears and swords, bullied into some semblance of soldiery by guardsmen from the Taiho garrison. You wait in shadowy doorways, allow them to pass before continuing. You're nearing the Brooker Court when a man dressed in an ill-fitting tunic staggers drunkenly out of a tavern and collides with you. Sorry, he hiccups and wanders off. You have divination or hunt mastery. You sense that he is not what he seems. He's a skillful pickpocket and has stolen one of your precious special items. Ooh. Iron key. Okay, I don't care that much. But we'll still chase him. Your Kai skills enable you to chase the pickpocket. Suddenly he senses that you are following him and dives into a side entrance. Sure. The moment you step into the building, he lunges at you. Wielding a cruel stiletto blade, he attempts to sink it into your chest. Kill him. How dare you steal my stuff? You search the clothes and backpack of the dead pickpocket, and you find your missing item as well as the following. Oh? Okay, so that's bugged out. What about the next one? Yes. I can't take an extra dagger. I can take the money. Meal. Meal. Can't fit more. Blanket. Vial of blue pills. Can I find out what it does? They will enable you to breathe underwater for a short period of time. That sounds more useful than a meal. Goodbye, meal. Sure, we have some potion of water breathing, or pills of water breathing. You can identify the blue pills. They are sabito root tablets, made of compressed and powdered root of the sabito plant. They enable a human body to absorb oxygen from water through the skin. Continue along the alley. Fight the soldiers. Oh, come on! Okay, don't fight the soldiers in the future. Rip. They've gotten a bit too fond of, Yeah, we had. It was just an insta-death, though. It wasn't a case of actually fight them. It was a case of, you have picked the option that is not the correct option, you insta-die. Which are bad options, and I don't... Like, they are bad. Bad, 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 bad. The game shouldn't really have those. Unless you are, like, ignoring your inherent senses to... You know, your senses say this way is dangerous, and then you say, go that way anyway. Then, okay, maybe I could live with you insta-dying from... You were warned. But otherwise, they're kind of just a bit cheap. Rope, quiver. We've never had a use for the grenades, but they seem to have forgotten about the grenades in these books so far. Like, they were very useful in the first book that they gave us them, but they haven't been useful since. Lantern. Extra healing potion. Go. Okay, same. You know what? We're not going to talk to people this time. We will not stop. Craftsmanship. Continue. You know, we've never intentionally gone the wrong way here. Let's go the wrong way. It looks deserted, but although the inhabitants have left in a hurry, taking nothing with them. A window shutter slams repeatedly in the distance, and you feel a chill of premonition as you ride along the empty cobbled street. As you approach the river wharf, you hear new sounds. Sounds that make you stop your horse dead in its tracks. You can hear the harsh voices of Giac's soldiers. Silently, you slip from the saddle and peer around the corner. In the middle of the street beyond, a company of Giac's scouts are sifting through items they have looted from the village. Two of the evil creatures are loading their booty into the back of a cran, a large black-winged creature, while the others cram their ill-gotten gains into their pockets and packs. What they cannot carry, they delight in despoiling, leaving a trail of filth and debris in the building they are ransacking. Okadur, shouts the officer, branding a long black sword. Akamaza Ek, his greedy soldiers are reluctant to obey his commands, but a few blows with the flat of his blade change their mind. Muttering and snarling, they scurry off into a side alley, reappearing soon on grey wolves. Rekenara Claus, growls the officer, and the pack ride out from the village, heading north along the bank of the river Cherdis. The crown and its two riders take to the air, but the beast is so overburdened with loot that it cannot clear the rooftops. It beats its leathery wings, hovering erratically just a few feet off the ground. The Giaks urge it on with kicks and punches to no avail. It lurches forwards, and the Giaks tumble headfirst onto the cobblestones a few feet from when you are standing. Orgadaka, they cry as they catch sight of you and Bane. You have a bow? Sure. But in answer to Vama's questions, which has been our favourite so far? I like the one that's timed, because it gives you a sense of urgency that if you go down the wrong paths, you'll take too long to complete the quest. So, like, it's one where you're meant to get from one side of the map to the other to inform the king about the attack that's happening at the other end of the land. And you've got, like, there's that one, and there's one where you have to go to another state and come back, go to the other state, perform some diplomacy, convince them to come help, and come back with the other state's army to help reinforce an attack that's happening. Both of them have sort of timed features of you must complete it within a set number of days. And when you make decisions about how you move around, like, do you take the shorter path? And do you run your horse ragged? Or do you travel by boat or by horse? Or do you choose to walk? And, like, it feels like it's possible to go so slowly that you'll fail. I don't actually know if that's true. I think that maybe isn't actually what actually happens. But it feels like you're making sort of more useful choices, and it feels a bit more pressured into making good choices in a way that isn't just, you've made a choice that is silly, you get insta-killed because that's what the decision results in. You decided to fight the guards like we did last thing. No, I don't want you to fight the guards, you insta-die. Instead, your poor decision costs you time, and maybe if you chose the wrong option enough times in a row, you'd end up with a, you have perhaps succeeded at doing what you tried to do, but you did it too slowly. Your overall quest has failed. You draw an arrow and take aim at the Giek's chest. He opens his yellow-fanged mouth to shriek for mercy, but his cry is cut short as your feathered shaft pierces his heart. The other Gieks roll away from the body of their partner and scramble to their feet, desperate to escape a similar fate. Aki Amaz! He whimpers hysterically as he scuttles towards the alley. Sure, shoot him again. A gurgling scream echoes from the alleyway. Your arrow has found its mark. Seconds later, the Giek staggers into view, its arms thrashing wildly as it tries to grab hold of the shaft buried deep in the middle of its back. In desperation, it draws a dagger from its boot and attempts to throw it at you, but a wave of pain engulfs the creature at that moment, and the vicious blade slips harmlessly from its grasp. With one last curse, it swoons and drops lifelessly to the ground. We'll search them. Enough food for 6 meals. Silver goblet, silk jacket, torch, crystal decanter, silver candlestick. Look at all this garbage. So much potential garbage for us to carry. I think we'll take the spiffy silk jacket. And do we take the crystal decanter or the silver goblet? Well, I think the decanter is probably more valuable. The track descends into a shallow valley, passed over a wooden bridge across a stagnant stream, and climbs towards the ridge of a hill. Passing over the crest, you come to a junction where the tracks join a main highway. A whitewashed stone marker points to the left. Tejo, 90 miles. You must eat. Hunting. The afternoon passed swiftly as you ride across the endless miles of treeless grassland. You stumble upon no village or hamlet. Bane talks to you, so this is the same. Pay for a room. Just order the food. We go to our room. We have hunt mastery. Meet the soldiers. Tell them why. Obey. Bane casts web. We run away. Okay, let's risk the ambush. The highway twists like a restless snake as you gallop headlong through the darkening Tejo Hills. The unholy baying of the Doom Wolves draws closer as you fight desperately to keep your tired horse ahead of the pack. 3 miles from the Watchtower settlement, the fastest pack members draw level with you as you race along a watercourse. Their eyes and fangs glint evilly in the moonlight. The Doom Wolves howl, and their Giak riders cackle with glee as they hurl themselves upon you. You lash out at a grey-skinned rider, cleaving his grinning head in two. We've had this again, so this isn't a worry. We should defeat that pretty easily. Yes, it costs us 2 hit points. We killed them quickly. We successfully run away. They give up. I wish to enter the cauldron. Allow them to. Arrest us. We are forced. Notice that the bottom option didn't have a comma or if you choose not to use it. So I am forced to use the force to get the key. We get the key. We find the guy. We might not actually win this fight this time. No, we did too well in that first round. Because we got a critical success. Take his sword and dagger and key. Throw our dagger. Random number table. We do well enough. We insta-kill him. Retrieve our stuff. Oh, that bugged out. No, this time it's not bugging out. So we'll grab everything. Slowly but surely. Very good. We didn't see the sword there. Ah, you're saying the summer sword isn't in this list. Iron keys, spire sphere, helm, chainmail, crystal star, leather waistcoat, shield, fire seed, and quiver. But we may not have the summer sword now. This could be true. We'll have to see. What do we want? We've already got sword and dagger. Ah. Here. Now let's check again. Ooh! And they've added little things to give you the little combination things. Oh, this is cool. So the circles that I was previously describing, if you have animal control and curing, then you get the circle of light. We currently have the circle of fire because we have weapon mastery and hunt mastery. Yeah, they say that the captain of the guard skims the best stuff. And notes. So these are things that can then lead to further things in further adventures. Like we won the Silver Bow of Duanodon. We survived the attack of the beasts at the monastery. We encountered Bane. And we have 3 of the 7 lore stones. Cool. Wait. What do you mean I have none of these items? What happened to my... We literally just spent time clicking to get all our items back, game. And now it says I have nothing. No. Yes. Something bugged out. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Do this again. Lordstone. Pass. Quiver. And we're happy. Deposit a little bit of money. Actually, we'll deposit more, seeing as we know that they steal all our money from us, potentially. Okay, quiver, rope, healing potion, grenades, meal. We know this sequence. Ignore them. Examine. Give the beggars money. Meal. Flask. Flask. Done. Old woman leads to medicine man, leads to question farmhands, leads to stay on the highway, leads to buy room, leads to lady yelling at us, leads to... Now let's go this way, which we've never done. Choose to avoid the soldiers by hiding behind the standing stones. You wait tensely as the thunder of their hooves grows louder. Suddenly your horse rears up, startled by a snake. I don't have animal control. The leader of the approaching cavalry signals his men... Yeah, so it doesn't... Ignore... No, we obey. Bane casts web. Okay. We won't risk the ambush. It worked out well for us last time, but I think only because we rolled well on that first check. I should have gambled with the farmer. Yeah, we could get the answer to that first question, maybe. If we have to do it again. Now, it was hut, old man, divination, trapdoor, give him food, he helps us through the cave. I intend to enter the cauldron. Now, what if we try and escape? No, if you try and escape, it fails, and they attack you. Nexus. This. Guards with no weapon. Win. This. Dagger. Success. Okay, retrieve your objects. Now here, you discover all your special and backpack items. So the way that is described to me, that sounds like I should get it back. And yet it isn't in here. Possibly... because it's a special weapon? Like, it hasn't given me the silver bow back either. Yeah, but your weapons are nowhere to be seen. So it must count as a... It is special, but it's also a weapon. Which means I should actually take a bow, realistically. Screw the dagger. I want the bow. There's no reason not to have a second quiver. We have the fire sphere again. Didn't bug out about giving us our items back this time. We defeat the Roctopus. I proceed towards trying to rescue Bane. I have pathmanship. You walk along the narrow, cobblestone street, taking care to avoid passing too close to windows and doorways. The city is in a sullen mood, with their women and children safe in the south. The soldiers and citizens busy themselves with preparations for the battle that is to come. Heavy steps and the clank of weapons echo along the street. as a troop of Slovian mercenaries march by with scarlet and black striped shields on their arms and polished halberds resting on their mailed shoulders. You follow as they march towards a building in the distance. When their officer orders them to halt and fall out, most of the soldiers enter the building, two remain outside. Question them. I'll bribe them. Okay, go back. I didn't have enough loon. I should have used crowns. They've taken him to the magistrate's court in Gallows Street. I don't think he'll be getting a meal ever again. Sure, go whichever direction. Gallows Street. Magistrate's court. It is a grey building devoid of coloration and decoration. Its stark bare walls serve to remind the Tanoese of its sober purpose. An old grey man with long hair and a beard is wearing purple and silver robes of the judiciary, accompanied by court guards and scribes. When he reaches the top step, he halts, turns, and points his finger at you. We've met him before. Hello. Welcome, etc. Roll our number on this table to see if the president votes with or against us. The president is evil. We avoid the net. Let's try the corridor. Last time the window ended well. Running past the guards was even easier than the window. We meet Sog. Time to leave, follow me. He takes us through the sewers as before. He takes us to his leader. We don't have side screen. The leader attacks us with his thing, making us tell him the truth. Water. Blanket. Descend the rope ladder. We roll well. I do have a rope. Examine the body. I do have Nexus. Hunt. Ghoul. Bow. Bow. No, Storm the Hollow, sorry. Take the token. 6. But we didn't get the one with 320 on it. Eat, hunt. Investigate the shadow. I don't have Psi screen. Now there's a Psi Ghoul. We defeat. Take the psychic ring. Lizard people. Hunt. Hunt. Call out to the lizard people this time. I have a fire sphere. I have examined one of them. I don't have a mirror. But we know to duck in case they attack us with their missile launcher. It was 326. Tell them why. They welcome us. The lizard people are nice. We get the Lore Stone. Help the soldiers. We do have Nexus, so we can be Firefighter. Northgate is fine. Divination, jump off the wagon. Only get a scratch. And we do not have the Summer Sword this time. We do have a Psychic Ring. He is a lot less skilled now, though. He had, like, 34 before? So they look like they do scale that final fight to whether you have the Summer Sword or not. Ooh. Ooh, 6 HP left. But this is going to be the last. This is going to be you've succeeded. At the very moment of his death, the shimmering web of energy that encases Zakan's body flares with a scarlet brilliance so intense that you are forced to avert your eyes for fear of it blinding you. The light surges and fades, leaving behind a mound of glowing fragments that crumble and dissolve noisily until all that remains of Zakan and the Orb of Death is a stain on the earth where they fell. Spurred on by your triumph, the Anarian defenders rally themselves and counterattack to secure the west gate. The Vazagonians who gained entry are either killed or forced back to the moat, and the gate is quickly retaken. It sounds like they had better moat fill-in micro than stronghold. A cheer resounds from the city walls. A cheer that becomes a chant, carrying word of Kimar's demise to the enemy beyond the moat, and gradually the advancing legions slow to a halt as their hope of an easy victory dies. Officers rise to and fro, cursing and threatening their men with all manner of punishment, but their morale is severely shaken. The ranks of armored warriors merely stand in shocked silence and refuse to advance. The sound of distant trumpets is heard, and all eyes turn to the south to see wave upon wave of mounted warriors emerging from the hills around Vata. They pour from every valley and pass to fill the southern flats with regiments of horsemen, resplendent in their uniforms of blue, white, and grey. Our prayers have been answered, says Chiban, and he and Baindam rejoin you at the city wall. Behold, the allies of Anari have come to aid us in our darkest hour. He points to the advancing cavalry, and you recognize, fluttering from their lances, the battle standards of 3 countries: Firalond, Lorden, and Kakersh. Then the thundering of their hooves fills the air, and a wave of joy surges through you as you witness their first charge devastate the enemy ranks. Throwing them into chaos and confusion, the great battle ensues as the enemy slowly gathers themselves to resist this unexpected assault. By noon, the 2 armies have been smashed and routed, and the third fights a desperate rearguard action as it covers the chaotic retreat westwards. At last, the fighting around the city comes to an end, and the defenders give voice to their elation that their home has been saved from the hordes of Dark Lord Gnag. Senator Zalaris proclaims you the saver of Teho, and the victorious cheers of the citizens echo through the burning streets and across the flats that lie strewn with enemy dead. If any of your weapons or weapon-like special items were confiscated by the Southgate Guard, they are now gratefully returned to you. You'll gaze at this grim panorama and your blood runs cold, but it is not the sight of the carnage that grips you with fear. It is your growing awareness of a powerful evil taking shape above the West Gate. A billowing black cloud forms in the sky, and from out of the cloud there is a harsh and terrible voice. Give me the summer sword, give me the summer sword, give me my summer sword back. You can't hold more. I will live without a quiver that is empty. Drop. Give me the magic bow. Thank you. I will be avenged. It booms, its resonance shaking the battlements on which you stand. You steel yourself, half expecting a bolt of lightning to leap from the cloud and hurtle towards you. But no such attack materializes. Instead, the chilling voice continues in a mocking tone. Know this. You will pay for your defiance with your life. I, Gnag of Mosgor, have the remaining 3 lore stones that you seek, and I will destroy them when I destroy you. Shouldn't you destroy them before you destroy me, so that I can't... Anyway. A gust of wind catches the cloud, and it clears swiftly, but it leaves behind a numbing dread that fills your heart. For you sense that the words were no idle threat, that the terrible voice of Dark Lord Gnag spoke the truth. Your quest has succeeded, for the wisdom and strength of the lore stone of Teho is now part of your body and spirit, and your defeat of Zakan Kimar has turned the tide of war decisively against the Dark Lord's armies. But the shocking news that the Dark Lords possess the remaining lore stones of Nixatar heralds the start of a new and deadly perilous episode of your Magna Chi quest. Gnag in the Australian accent. Heavy Gnag. He's Australian. Gnag. If you have the courage of a true Kai Master, the challenge of recovering the last of the lore stones from the clutches of your mortal enemies awaits you, beginning in Book 10 of Lone Wolf, entitled The Dungeons of Torgar. Dun dun dun! Cool, cheers. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy more next time.